Hey Couch Carpers, it's Couch Coop, hope you're all doing well. I know it's the start of the week, bear with it, you're 20% through completion. I've got a lovely one for you today, PlayStation 4, Switch, Game Pass. It's really cool, Roguelike deck builder that is actually local co-op and genuinely works. It's a tough thing to do with a deck builder in this style, but wow, what a little gem. Okay, I'm going to try my hardest to get over what we're looking at here. Essentially, you're on a grid system which is split into two. Enemy grids are red, and you get to move around on these with the directional buttons or the stick. There's no limit to it. You just nip around as quickly or as slowly as you can. This gives you positioning to then use your face buttons on your weapons, which are down there at the bottom, and these are just like cards or spells or anything else you'd see in a deck builder. You have a normal gun on R2, which is minimal damage, but as you play, you start to beef that up, and different characters have different base weapons on that trigger. The enemies, particularly bosses, will come over to your side of the pitch, and some weapons that you have or cards that you have will obliterate certain squares so the enemy can't move on them, and that goes in conjunction with their attacks. Sometimes you'll be cornered because they'll just put elements around you and trap you. Deck builders are normally about pointing and clicking and making timed decisions on certain cards or situations. With this, it's all about an arcadey, snappy, move around, get out the way, use reaction time in conjunction with your cool cards. It's a very slick system. Real-time combat is never a thing in these types of games, so this is totally welcome, and it completely works with two people. However, you do share the spell slots, which are there on the bottom left, and they can also be jostled with the left trigger. This is where things get quite complicated. Some spells have a number of uses, and when you exhaust them, new ones slot in, and that depends on how many you've got on the list or how many you've accumulated through your run. Another thing that can make or break a deck builder is how good the card variety is. How wide is the circulation? Do you see new cards enough on each run? And the answer to that with this is, Christ, it's ridiculous. I haven't had a duplicate card, and some of the powers and projectile, like cool lasers, even a shotgun came up, and you can see that our map screen or our route screen is identical to Slay the Spire. Given us a choice, you don't have to go to a boss. There might be some loot instead, or you may need to get your health replenished. Now let's look at that. It's the figure underneath the character, and you can imply shields to get another number on top of that, and the enemies will do the same thing. You know exactly what that is about. If you're into Slay, they have a huge chunk of bar you've got to eat through before you get to actually hurt the beast itself. What is the major pull for a game like this? For me, it's running different characters and using their base weapons and seeing what they're like when they're beefed up, and building the deck, having a look at the unlocks. I've been playing this game for about 7 to 6 hours today, and I've got 48 unlockables still to go when I die and you get those permanent overlays. The look of the game totally put me off the scent. I'm a bit shallow when it comes to game art, and this is branded like proper cutesy. You have to read between the lines with it. Some of the later game characters are male and come with like big artillery and cool suits. I would say this art design and character choice is very accessible, and this is one for the whole family. Also, it takes a bit of head scratching, it's loud, it's got such cool cards that when you find and see come to fruition in gameplay, you're like, wow, I'm completely hooked. You will also have to keep communication levels up at ridiculously high speeds, because you may need a card that isn't in your slot and you might have to shuffle, and that requires consent to a certain level from the other player, because they might be using a particular card to reach an enemy on a section of map. Some cards will only attack in the back squares and others will be spread, and even the enemies will put something on your side of the pitch like these speakers that completely ruins your day. The player that dies can also be pulled back in. If you complete the bout or get to the next stage, you are then spawned back in. It's pretty cool. It's tense as well because you're spectating one player trying to finish a level that will potentially bring you back into the game. You said it was a roguelike, Coop. Can you tell us what elements point towards that? Well, massive reroll. I haven't had the same boss twice. Even on level 1, I'm loving that so much. All the loot, all the rewards, all the traders, that map layout, nothing is the same on any run. It is very vast, the amount of variety they've put on that reroll system. It is obviously all over if both of you die, but you do get some cool unlock rewards upon death, which you then get to pump into taking onto a new run. It might be something like a skin or even a new character that's opened, but normally it's some heavy hitting card that is going to be added into the circulation of random finds that you get in game. It's 580 megabyte. And it's been out a whole year and I haven't had it put in front of me yet. This is not good. I would have liked to have had this out in front of you guys on the day of release, and I'm about to put some content out about the PlayStation Network store technically being really anti-split screen and couch co-op. There's no search filters that remotely point in the local co-op, offline co-op, or even split screen genre. The genre tab's terrible. It's easier to make a list of games that have just got ponies in them than it is local, offline co-op, or even PvP. There is, however, a party game tab in that drop down, which does help you crunch that list in. I remember putting a video together where you could search indie and local co-op. It's gone. What possible reason could they have for doing that? Investigation afoot. I also want to talk about the game's ridiculous size to fun ratio. This is happening a lot at the moment with indie games. I'm downloading stuff that's tiny that entertains me more than some of the AAA titles that have been out this year. Now, if you're up to speed with me, you'll know I'm building the biggest couch co-op list of all time, the top 25. And we're up to number 5 is coming out next week, and it's a certain Activision game that's 200 gigabyte in size. I'm having to re-download it again. What the hell are they doing? I know what they're doing. They're shoving all this crap on my machine that I'm never going to use. All that other online multiplayer competitive area they're pushing on anyway. I guarantee the chunk that I need out of that 200 is not the entirety of the download. Okay, just as a final note, could this game get any better? Yes. PvP local. Oh my god. You can test out characters against each other. You each get a section of that map. You can just go hell for leather with everything. It's blinding. It's very funny. I've never been able to have a deck builder on local co-op with these cool, snappy, real-time controls on a local PvP level before. That's a hell of a sentence, but it feels great. It looks great. It's really funny. You won't find your longevity in this section like you will with the cooperative runs. They're totally awesome, but this can be taken to people that play locally on to competitive online fighting. That is a crazy whole section I haven't even stepped in yet. I want to hear from you guys if you have got the courage to do that. What an amazing bunch of game modes. This review is going on a playlist of standalone couch co-op and split screen games that I've reviewed for this year. There's quite a few of them on there. Links are going to be in description. Have a look at the recent one, Young Souls, also another brilliant looking and local co-op action game. I will see you down there.